The Silent Twins, Part 1, Childhood and Secret Language. Early life in Wales. The town of Caldicot, in the quiet, grey valleys of Wales, was never a place for attention. Rows of brick houses, narrow streets, and a constant drizzle of rain painted a world both ordinary and quietly oppressive. Yet, in 1963, in a small house tucked behind a row of identical brick walls, a peculiar event occurred. A birth that would later confound psychologists, neighbors, and historians alike. June and Jennifer Gibbons were born, identical in every way. Pale-skinned, blue-eyed, with hair the color of burnished chestnut. To an outsider, they were twins like any other. But those who would come to know them soon realized that these girls were anything but ordinary. From their earliest months, they exhibited an uncanny connection, a silent bond that seemed impenetrable, even by their parents. The first sign came as a soft murmur of cooing that no one else could understand. June and Jennifer, barely able to form proper sentences, would sit together in a corner of their bedroom, their heads bent close, whispering a language that belonged solely to them. Their parents, bewildered, tried to intervene, but the twins would freeze, their eyes darkening with a storm of silent fury if anyone dared intrude. By the age of 5, it was clear the twins spoke only to each other. In public, they remained silent, their lips pressed tightly, as if they had a pact with the air itself. Teachers at their school grew frustrated. Parents exchanged worried glances, yet the girls remained a mystery. Neighbors whispered about their peculiar behavior. One recalled seeing them in the garden, moving in perfect synchrony, like mirrors of each other. When one raised a hand, the other did the same, but always with a delay, an imitation that was slightly off, unsettling to those who watched. Even within their own family, the twins became isolated. Words spoken to them in English, Welsh, or any other language seemed to vanish in their ears. Instead, June and Jennifer constructed an elaborate, private world, communicated entirely through their invented language, a symphony of sounds, gestures, and secret codes. The girls began to retreat further, spending hours in their room, writing stories and diaries filled with a language no one could decode. It was as if they had created an entire parallel universe, one in which only they existed. Their isolation grew not out of rebellion, but out of necessity. They were protecting a world that outsiders could never enter. Psychologists who would later study the twins described their language as idiosyncratic and entirely self-contained. It was more than a secret. It was a fortress, shielding them from the cruelty and indifference of the adult world. Each time someone tried to break through, the girls would fall silent, staring with an intensity that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. At home, their mother often remarked, "It's as if there are two souls in one body, and the rest of the world is merely a shadow." Her words, spoken with a tinge of awe and fear, captured the essence of June and Jennifer's early years. They were inseparable, yet each possessed an inner life so private that even their closest family members felt like intruders. The language of twins. The girls' language evolved over time. What began as playful murmurs and giggles soon became a structured system, complete with its own grammar and vocabulary. Certain syllables had specific meanings. Certain gestures conveyed complex emotions. When Jennifer felt fear, she would press her fingers together in a precise rhythm. When June wanted to express longing, she would tilt her head slightly, eyes fixed on a particular point in the room. To the casual observer, these actions seemed meaningless, but within their secret code, entire stories could be told in silence. School became a battleground. Teachers could not reach them. Lessons were ignored. Questions went unanswered. Yet the twins displayed intelligence that was remarkably sharp, solving puzzles, memorizing texts, and writing stories that were bizarre, dark, and strangely poetic. Their isolation drew attention from social workers, psychologists, and neighbors. Attempts to force them to speak were met with resistance, sometimes aggression. The girls would refuse to eat, lock themselves in rooms, or stare for hours with unblinking eyes. It was clear that their language was more than communication. It was a survival mechanism. They were a universe unto themselves, defying the ordinary rules of childhood. A warning that some mysteries cannot be unraveled simply by asking questions. The growing oddity. As they grew older, their behaviors became stranger. They developed peculiar routines, walking in step, dressing alike, writing identical diaries. They had a fascination with the macabre. Tales of death, isolation, and the supernatural filled their writings. Their imagination was vivid, yet it bordered on the disturbing. The community began to regard them with a mix of fascination and fear. Parents warned their children not to play near the twins. Teachers whispered about their obsessions, and neighbors shuddered at the sight of two identical figures moving in eerie harmony through the streets of Caldecott. It was during this period that the first hints of tragedy appeared. Jennifer, often the more assertive twin, would engage in minor acts of destruction, setting small fires, breaking objects, or scribbling threatening messages. June, more introspective, acted as a silent witness, rarely intervening, yet fully complicit in their shared world. Their silence in public became total. To anyone outside, they were ghostly presences, almost spectral, but in their private world, their bond deepened, forming an unbreakable, if dangerous, tether. Part 2. Adolescence, Isolation, and Strange Behaviors. The deepening silence. As June and Jennifer entered adolescence, their private universe became more insular, impenetrable to the world outside. At 14, the twins were almost always together, speaking exclusively in their secret language. Every attempt to coax them into normal social interaction met with unyielding resistance. Teachers reported that they had ceased to respond even to their names. Friends tried to reach them, but the girls would vanish, appearing only in fleeting glimpses, their expressions blank yet unervingly knowing. In the hallways of their school, they were ghosts, present but untouchable. At home, the twins created elaborate rituals. They walked through rooms in mirrored steps, synchronized movements that seemed choreographed with mystical precision. Their bedroom became a sanctuary and a fortress, walls lined with handwritten diaries, drawings of dark forests, storm clouds, and twin figures entwined in impossible forms. Psychologists who studied them later described a strange dichotomy. The twins were highly intelligent, yet completely unreachable, their minds entwined in a shared world beyond comprehension. Any effort to force communication or participation in normal life led to emotional shutdowns, tantrums, or self-imposed isolation. Strange behaviors. Odd behaviors escalated during their teenage years. Jennifer, more impulsive and dominant, often provoked small disturbances, slashing curtains, breaking objects, or leaving cryptic notes for family members. June, more passive and reflective, would observe with unwavering attention, participating silently in all activities. The twins developed a fascination with death and the macabre. They spent hours writing stories of tragic fates, mysterious disappearances, and ghostly apparitions, blurring the line between imagination and reality. Their diaries, written in their private language, became increasingly dark intricate and haunting, with symbols and codes that no outsider could decipher. Neighbors began to notice strange phenomena. Lights flickered in their home at odd hours, and the twins were sometimes seen walking alone at dusk, their identical silhouettes blending into the misty streets. The community's curiosity merged with fear. The girls had become local enigmas, embodiments of a living mystery. Total isolation. By 16, June and Jennifer had withdrawn completely from society. Social interactions were minimal, school attendance sporadic. Their language had evolved into a complex system capable of expressing subtle emotion and dark intention. It was not only a method of communication, but a psychological barrier, insulating them from the outside world and from normal human relationships. Family members struggled to comprehend the depth of their withdrawal. Parents, though loving, often felt helpless, unable to penetrate the twins' fortress of silence. Attempts at therapy met resistance, often escalating into behavioral eruptions, screaming fits, self-harm, or destructive acts. Despite this, their bond grew stronger. Each action, each glance, each whisper in their private code reinforced an unbreakable tether. Outsiders could not fathom the intensity of their connection, a link so deep that it bordered on telepathy. Early signs of tragedy. The darkness in their writings began to manifest in reality. Jennifer, the more volatile twin, expressed fantasies of death, control, and escape. June, though more reserved, internalized these desires, amplifying the intensity of their shared world. The family home, once mundane, became a theater for the twins' internal struggles. Rooms were left in disarray, diaries scattered, and cryptic notes left as warnings or confessions. Each day deepened the sense of mystery and unease, leaving neighbors whispering about the silent girls, whose presence felt haunting yet magnetic. As adolescence progressed, June and Jennifer's bond became dangerously symbiotic. Neither could function without the other, yet the intensity of their connection fostered behaviors that were increasingly erratic, obsessive, and ominous. Part 3. Confinement, Crime, and Jennifer's Death. The path to confinement. By the time June and Jennifer reached their late teens, their behaviors had escalated to a level that alarmed authorities. The twins' withdrawal from society was now near total, and their private world had grown increasingly dark and controlling. Small acts of vandalism escalated: thefts, minor arson, and threatening messages. Each incident was meticulously recorded in their diaries, a map of intention and obsession. Psychologists noted a dangerous combination of high intelligence, intense twin bond, and social isolation, warning that the girls' behaviors could spiral further. Eventually, after repeated legal interventions and psychiatric evaluations, the twins were committed to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric facility in England. The authorities described the action as necessary to protect both the twins and society, though it was clear that the girls were trapped in a system they did not understand or accept. Life in Broadmoor. Broadmoor became both a prison and a paradoxical refuge. Within its walls, June and Jennifer had no choice but to confront the world outside their private universe. Yet their bond persisted. They would spend hours writing in their secret language, whispering codes, and observing each other with almost telepathic attention. Other patients and staff found the twins fascinating yet disturbing. Their silence in public remained unbroken, but within their private interactions, they were exceedingly articulate and synchronized. Psychologists attempted to decode their language, but it remained impenetrable, a living testament to their isolation. Despite restrictions, Jennifer's personality remained dominant and increasingly erratic. She continued to experiment with rebellion, risk, and control, often dragging June into schemes that bewildered hospital staff. June, though more passive, was indispensable. Jennifer could not act without her twin, and the symbiosis became a source of both power and danger. The tragic death of Jennifer. In 1993, after years of confinement, tragedy struck. Jennifer died suddenly at the age of 30. The circumstances were mysterious, and rumors swirled. Some claimed illness, others whispered dark forces within their bond. June survived, but the death left her profoundly changed. Psychologists and biographers later speculated that Jennifer's death may have been influenced by the intense psychological interdependence between the twins. June reported that she felt a sense of freedom and horror at the same time, as if the death of her sister had unlocked her individuality but destroyed the core of her own identity. Jennifer's death marked the end of a decades-long dark symbiosis, a life built on secrecy, isolation, and obsession. June would go on to live a quieter, though still haunted, life, carrying the memory of their shared universe and the terrifying beauty of their silent language. Reflections on the Silent Twins. The story of June and Jennifer Gibbons remains one of the most enigmatic psychological mysteries of the 20th century. Their lives challenge the limits of understanding. How two individuals could share a private world so completely that it defied society, law, and reason. The twins' legacy is not just tragedy, but a testament to the extremes of human connection, the fine line between genius and madness, and the dangers of a bond that consumes both participants. Their diaries, still studied by psychologists, continue to reveal fragments of a hidden language and a hidden universe, a reminder that some mysteries cannot be fully unraveled. June, now older and alone, occasionally reflects on their life together, aware that Jennifer's shadow lingers in language, memory, and the strange, silent bond that once defined them both. Part 4. Secret Language and Dark Diaries. The Hidden Language. June and Jennifer's secret language was not mere childish play. It was a fully developed system, sophisticated enough to express subtle emotions, complex ideas, and even sinister intentions. Psychologists later referred to it as a cryptophagia, a twin-created code, but it went beyond standard definitions. In their language, sounds, rhythms, and gestures combined into a living code. Certain syllables could express fear, desire, anger, or longing, while gestures, a tilt of the head, a tap of the finger, a shift in posture, could convey narratives that would take pages to explain in English. Only the twins could fully understand it. Outsiders, no matter how clever or persistent, would find only fragments and patterns, never the full meaning. For June and Jennifer, it was a shield and a key, simultaneously protecting them and allowing them to explore a universe only they could inhabit. The diaries, windows into a dark mind. Their diaries were extraordinary artifacts, filled with encrypted writing, poetry, and detailed accounts of their thoughts. They chronicled daily routines, fears, fantasies, and dark imaginings. These writings were both a record and a rehearsal. They planned scenarios, imagined outcomes, and rehearsed their interactions with a world they had largely abandoned. Themes of death, isolation, and control recur throughout. One diary entry, translated, read, "We speak, and the world bows away. Alone we breathe, together we are the storm." The twins' obsession with mirrors, reflections, and symmetry also appears repeatedly. Their writings suggest that each twin could not exist independently. June and Jennifer were two halves of a single consciousness, each needing the other for validation and survival. Rituals and symbolism. The diaries reveal recurring rituals and symbols, coded diagrams, intertwined shapes, and abstract figures. Some were simple, representing daily events, while others were sinister, depicting chaos, death, and transformation. Psychologists analyzing the diaries noted a combination of artistic brilliance and psychological disturbance. The twins also developed secret codes for communication outside their room, tapping, whispering through walls, and even subtle movements in public spaces. To them, every action was language, every glance was loaded with meaning. The connection between language and behavior. The language was intimately tied to their actions. When Jennifer grew agitated, the words in their code became harsh and jagged, accompanied by snapping gestures. June, in turn, would respond in complementary patterns, diffusing tension or escalating it, depending on their shared intention. Psychologists later suggested that the girls' behaviors, sometimes dangerous or destructive, were extensions of their linguistic world. Their reality was constructed and maintained through code. Disruption of communication caused distress and unpredictable reactions. The diaries also reveal a foreshadowing of tragedy. As they grew older, the language increasingly contained motifs of separation, death, and irreversible change, hinting at the eventual loss of Jennifer and June's subsequent isolation. Part 5. Psychological Analysis and Legacy. The Minds of the Twins. Psychologists, criminologists, and biographers have long attempted to understand the minds of June and Jennifer Gibbons. Their lives pose profound questions about human connection, identity, and the limits of communication. June and Jennifer exhibited traits associated with shared psychosis and extreme social withdrawal, yet they were also highly intelligent, creative, and observant. Their secret language was both a tool and a barrier, a reflection of their inner world and a defense mechanism against an uncomprehending society. Experts suggest that their behaviors, withdrawal, mirrored actions, ritualistic patterns, were driven by a combination of intense twin bonding, creating a private universe only they could inhabit, trauma and social alienation, amplified by the indifference or hostility of peers, psychological compulsion, where maintaining symmetry, secrecy, and control became necessary for emotional stability. The tragic symbiosis. The death of Jennifer left June profoundly altered. For decades, they had relied on each other for psychological survival, and suddenly one half of the bond was gone. June described feeling both relief and terror. Relief at being free from the intensity of their shared world, terror at facing existence alone. Their symbiosis had been both creative and destructive. It allowed extraordinary intellectual and artistic expression, but isolated them completely from normal human interaction. Their diaries, still studied today, provide insight into a complex, shared mind, highlighting the precarious balance between genius, obsession, and psychological distress. The legacy. The story of June and Jennifer is remembered not only for its dark mystery, but also for its cautionary tale. The dangers of extreme isolation, obsessive twin bonding, and the human need for connection. June went on to live a quieter life, though she remained haunted by her sister's memory. Jennifer's shadow lingered in the pages of their diaries, in the secret language that had defined them, and in the psychological imprint of their unusual bond. Their story continues to fascinate. Psychologists study them as a case of extreme, twin bonding, and cryptophagia. Writers and filmmakers explore the dark, mysterious life they shared. The public remains captivated by the eerie combination of genius, obsession, and tragedy. June and Jennifer's lives remind us that some human connections are beyond comprehension, that some secrets are never meant to be fully revealed, and that the line between brilliance and darkness can be frighteningly thin. Closing reflection. In the quiet town of Caldecott, the story of the silent twins endures. It is a story of a bond so strong it defied words, a private universe hidden from the world, the fragile, terrifying beauty of a mind shared between two souls. Their legacy is etched not only in psychology textbooks, but also in the imagination of anyone who encounters their story. June, carrying the memory of Jennifer, reminds us that even in silence, some voices resonate forever, and some mysteries remain forever unsolved.